What is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about character design. So character design, look at Media Molecule's character design. It's fairly simple and there's nothing wrong with that. Even Media Molecule has simple character designs. You should learn from video games. Video games like Sonic, Hollow Knight have fairly simple character designs that you don't need the blend cut tool. You see, with designs like this, you would need the blend cut tool, which can be time consuming. And if you're only a team of like a few people or one person, then you might want to not want to blend as much because you can get more done. You can't get the game done without sculptures or, in other words, 3D models. So let me show you what I'm talking about because I've actually made a Sonic enemy, and this is what I've learned from Sonic. I made another video about how you can actually do it with making enemies out of other games. Today we're going to talk about characters. This is a character, and then I'll show you some of my other characters also. So right here we can actually see the Sonic that I sculpted, the Sonic enemy. You might recognize it. As you can see, it's really just relatively simple. Shapes, a few effects for the eyes, dots, just the cube, dot, dot. Took me about roughly 20 minutes to make this triangle. 2 circles for the belly, 1 gray, 1 pink or purple, however you see it. Triangle for, and really all I had to do was recognize the outline of the character and apply it to it. It took me longer to make this sword than it did this character. Because this sword took precise cuts in the right angle, and I guess that would be a sword tutorial now, because I didn't realize my sword came out this good. I honestly didn't realize that. Like the blade, that was probably the hardest part. That glimmer on the blade, that was probably the hardest part. But I think it was just the triangle tool, and then, just the pancake thing, and then the circle down here, and then triangle just maybe resized. It was something. What is this thing? Yeah, it looks like it was this. It looks like it was the wedge. If it wasn't the wedge, then it was this. It was most likely the wedge because I was wanting to find a way to get this side to look straight compared to the other side that has the blade on it. Then I added the glimmer. Then down here it's just circle. And right here it's just, I had to delete some of it, but it's just that pancake thing right here, that donut thing. And it took me longer to make this because I had to blend cut, and blend cuts whenever you're in stamp mode, triangle, then you raise your blend, and then it blend cuts. As opposed to this. So I had to do that for like the top part to get it more, cool. And I had to do a couple cups here, and it took me longer to do that. And this looks simpler than this, but it took me probably longer to get this right and then get the shininess of it right to make this sword than it did my homie over here. And it actually is a pretty cool looking blade for what it is, and you can make some other awesome designs with it also. But this is simple designs for characters who work because you can get more done for your game and you won't go through as much burnouts. Let me show you some of my other stuff that I've done also. Some other characters that I made. Now this is kind of before this is Cuphead also, by the way. This is a more complex, simple character. I wouldn't call Cuphead style simple. There's a little bit more going on, and you definitely need the blend cut tool. So Cuphead was a little bit harder than just Sonic. With Sonic, I could just use the shapes, and you can create enemies that way. But still, with where I'm going with it, it's looking pretty cool. I'll have to use the blend cut tool. Had to use Impastio. I'm not sure how to say that, and I just added that right there. Circle, kaleidoscope. There's a lot more going on with Cuphead type stuff, that art style, and of course I'll have to fix the eyes, than there is with, let's say, Sonic's art style. And in order to get this actually looking good, I'd have to do more, whereas with Sonic I can do less and it still looks good. So you have to figure out your own art style and dreams in order for it to look good, but you can do less, if that makes sense. Because if you do less but it doesn't look good, then you should obviously do more to it to make it look finished and right for the game. And also atmosphere should be talked about good too, because If I'm in a realistic first-person shooter, I wouldn't want this here unless I'm trying to make a joke. So that right there should be understood. Also, the concept of that. We're starting to get to my early days of whenever I was creating. So if there's like some funny looking stuff, then that's the reason why. Because these are my first creations. Except for the paintings are pretty cool. Some of the stuff I didn't make, but paintings I made are, you know, litty. Also check out my game Linger in the Dreamverse. So this right here is one of my first character designs. I actually stopped making it because at the time I didn't realize how to actually make a puppet, so I didn't realize how to fix some of the glitches that were occurring, which is why I stopped. But now I might add it back into my game. So if I can find it, if I can't find it, then you know, you guys just saw it. There you are. It's really a relatively simple enemy, and it fits my atmosphere of my game. It's you know, it's a puppet, and then I sculpted over the puppet. So here's how you do that. You can check out my tutorials. They might pop up at the top, and if they do, there'll be tutorials selected just for you guys for this video, so you guys can learn how to do everything I did in this video even better than I'm explaining now. So right here, I deleted everything on the body except for that, and then I deleted all the joints and stuff. Right, these are the joints. By going here, looking at the joints, you should be able to find it if you hover above it. I deleted all that by pressing triangle on them, and then pretty much I just left this and sculpted over it. And then eventually I moved, you'll have to move this down to the purple thing. You'll have to do that. And then what you'll have to do to make things easier, which is something I didn't know, if you're going to make your own puppets, you should L1 and square on it and turn these two things off. Turn those two things off. It makes things easier than make your own animations for the assigned button presses in the control sensor. Or you can also put some of those things into the puppet interface, but still have some connected to the control sensor, if that makes sense. You can mess around with it. But it's pretty much a basic design. It's a basic design. And it works for the game that I'm going for. And this right here was supposed to be the enemy that's the enemy in the game now. But I guess now I can make it something different, which is really cool, in my opinion. So making enemies is very simple as long as you are willing to create an art style for your game. I would create an art style for your game before you even start making characters, but I would also get an understanding down for how to make characters in Dreams. That way you can know what to base your art style around whenever you're drawing your character designs and then bringing them back into Dreams from your pieces of paper that you can then look at and then sculpt simple art designs, and they'll look good in Dreams because Dreams is a fantastic art creation program. So Dreams is more than just, you know, this right here is a bad one. This right here is a way better one. Here's another character design that I made. I like it. It's like a flower, and I was really thinking of Mario enemies whenever I made this one. So you can really, you can kind of see the Mario aesthetic that I was thinking of. Then you get the, so it happens when I press play. Yeah, then you get the wrecking ball that I made. So that's what this character is. I think the reason I didn't use it is because from far away the eyes get really big for some reason, and I didn't like that. It just looks really funny. I don't know why it does that, but it's a really cool character design. I think I simplified it even more than this because if you notice, it looks really complex. And what this ended up turning into, whenever I simplified it, was it ended up turning into this blue ghost thing for my game. And that's what I used instead because it looks a whole lot better. This right here is one of the enemies in my game. That thing that I made before, this is what it changed into. So this is what that enemy changed into, that thing with one eye. Notice how the cuts look a lot more clean, and it looks a whole lot more fitting for the game. That's another reason why I use this one. It just looks better in my opinion, and it fits. But it's actually simpler. It's actually even simpler than the slug thing, whenever you think about it. but it looks good. That's the important thing, and it fits the game. That's the main character for my game, Armour Kite. This is what his first model was. I was like, ah. And this was actually looking good to me at first, but then whenever I made this, I was like, yeah, this looks bad. So you might not even know if something looks bad until you make something better, if that makes sense. Here's some more of my art pieces. Minecraft Sky, you can look that up if you want to. My game is called Linger. You can look that up if you want to also. Follow me and subscribe to me. I'm Young Text here and pretty much on the Dreamverse. So here's some dresses that I made. Learned how to make guns. Here's some guns that I made. I think guns were like the first thing that I learned how to make. And here's some sculpting stuff. I learned how to make a head, learned how to sculpt all that. This was the first head that I made right here. Then I made Little Dicky on accident. Then I made some pixel art. Then I made some art, simple art. Simple art. Then I made some music, some raps also. So that's pretty much how you can get character designs for your enemy. I mean, not just your enemies, for your characters. I would say go for simple, because that's what I'm doing. I can make realistic because I made those guns. If you look at my gun tutorial, I would find the easiest way to create things for you that looks good. Because Bendy and the Ink Machine is loved by everybody. Hollow Knight's loved by everybody. Undertale is loved by everybody. And whenever I say everybody, I mean about, a good 50% of the world. So that's pretty much my take on character design that you guys can get from me as of this moment. Again, the most complicated thing that I know that I've made that looks good other than the artwork is a gun. So you can look on my gun tutorials how to sculpt guns. So if you want to look at that, see some more work, all that great stuff. So here's my best UI that I made, or main menu. So I just do my best to make it look good and fitting, if that makes sense, because I know if it looks good and fitting, then the game will look presentable, and that's a big deal to me, in my opinion. Music is important too for your characters. You might not even think about this, but Halloween was actually rejected as a movie, John Carpenter, whenever he first presented it, because it had no music. But once he had the music, the person was like, yeah, this is actually scary, I'm sorry. So music could actually make your overall game feel more polished, and you want to do that extra thing that makes your game feel more polished. I was looking up the Sonic tutorial, is Sonic still good? And the guy pointed out that whenever Dr. Robotnik was defeated in those games, like, whenever you finally beat the boss level, he would run away, and get away in his robot, whatever thing, his robot ship, or, that little thing that he drives in to hover away. His egg cart, I'm not sure. But in the advanced games, Game Boy games, he would actually say something like, you'll pay for this. And that tiny thing made the game feel more polished. So the tiny things are what make games feel polished, dude. It does help. You want your game to feel polished, so add those tiny details that might otherwise not be there, because people tell about that stuff, especially with Undertale. You can there's so much tiny details that the simpleness made it complete. There's so many tiny details. So whenever you're done with the game, add details that, hey, maybe I can add a heartbeat whenever his health gets low. Hey, maybe I can make the screen go red whenever whenever he's dying. Maybe I make the screen go green whenever I'm healing. Maybe I can add an animation there. Whenever you're finished with your game, think about that kind of stuff, because you might not even be finished. You might not even be finished. You might only be like 70% of the way there. This is my take on all this stuff. I hope you can gain something from it. And I hope this helps with character design. It's your boy Young Tex. Don't forget to check out my playlist, my channel playlist for individual tours on logic, sculpting, animation, music, and more. And if it's set out streaming at the top, feel free to come into the stream if you want me to test out one of your creations or hear your music or watch your animation or see your art even. Just click on my channel name, go to my channel playlist, and then you can find any individual tutorial on a topic on dreams that you might want to see. I hope this helps you with character creation. You can draw your characters and then bring them back to dreams. That does help a lot. Even professionals do that. So, feel free to do that if you want to also. And take what you can from this and apply it to your knowledge. You can share your knowledge in the comment section also to help others. Thank you so much, guys, and peace out.